Morning, guys. Today we're going to talk about our second topic. This is actually our first topic of our first formative, which most likely we will have on Friday during class. So this first topic, you can see above on the board above me, is PEMDAS, something that you guys have seen probably at length by now throughout middle school, and that is our order of operations. When we're asked to simplify an expression with multiple operations, this kind of outlines the order in which we should do so. If you guys are looking at the agenda, we are going to start with this. And you notice that your first definition, if you look at the second slide, the bottom of the PDF, it says that order of operations is a set of rules used to evaluate numerical expressions that contain more than one operation. So when we're looking at an expression with multiple operations, this is what shows us the order in which we should do so. So a lot of people have this acronym. Some people just know it as PEMDAS. Some people have a phrase. You can notice that it says on your paper, it says, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." That was just an acronym or for people to remember a saying that we use, a mnemonic device to help people remember the order of PEMDAS. And then you should associate those operations with that. And so that's the most important part, and that you understand the P represents parentheses. I'm going to write that going down. The E is exponents. So this is our order from left to right in which we follow. Now, this next part, I'm going to group this, and this is multiplication, so we're writing next to each other, and division. Okay, yours goes from the left side of the paper to the right. You notice this is already filled in. And addition and subtraction, I'm going to also group them together. And I'm just writing the words out first. And if you notice, it says on your paper, you may say, this may seem new to you, but these two things, it's really important. One of the key things I'm going to touch on a lot throughout this short video is that multiplication and division, they go left to right. There's not one that goes first. So what I mean by this is, for example, if I have something like this, say 3 divided by 3 times 4, I do not do this first. I actually have to go left to right because all I have is a division and a multiplication. I have 3 divided by 3, which will give me 3 times 4. So when we are doing these things from in order of operations, we're always going to show our steps out from one step to another, especially to make sure that we can see as teachers what your guys' work is. So it's really important that you're always showing this. And again, I wanted to show that when we have a division and a multiplication, we must do this from left to right. So I'm going to put above here, left to right, with a star. And that goes for not just multiplication and division, but for addition and subtraction. I'll abbreviate L to R over here. So again, what I mean by this, if I have like 4 minus 5 plus 6, I'll do 4 minus 5 and get -1. And this is where our adding, subtracting, positives, and negatives come in. And I'll do -1 plus 6, and I'll get 5. And the reason this is important is because if you had went the other way, if I look at this same problem, and I'm just going to recopy that up here, if I did the exact same problem, and I did 5 plus 6 and got 11, and did 4 minus 11 and got -7, that's wrong. Because again, I must go with the subtraction and addition left to right. 4 minus 5, -1, plus 6, positive 5. These are not the same. Multiplication and division, addition and subtraction, both go left to right. So let's look at an example here. Our first example you have on your guys' notes is 3 plus 2 times 3 plus 5. Remember, this dot means multiplication. So if I'm looking at, you guys have the acronym on your PDF, PEMDAS, even if every problem, you write it up on top or next to this, and you say, okay, let's go in order. No, no. Do I have any of these two? Remember, and if it helps you, group the two. I do have a multiplication, so I'll do that first. I'll rewrite this, 3 plus 6 plus 5. I'll add the 3 and 6. I'll get 9 plus 5, or 14. Notice how I'm showing my steps out and I'm going in order. I have a multiplication, I did that. I crossed that one off. Now I don't have a division, I have an addition, just additions, I do those, and I get my final answer. So if it helps you to put the acronym and then cross them off as you go through each one, you can do so. So let's look at number 2. We've got, I'll put that on the side here, 15 divided by 3 times 5 minus 4 squared plus 8. Great problem here. So, my first step, I'll put my acronym above. You guys have it on your paper. On all the worksheets, it's the first thing we should see you guys writing. I check parentheses, none. I'm good. Exponents, boom, I do have one. Exponent means power. It's anything raised to a power. So when I do this, I'm going to write everything else the same except for what I changed. So I'm going to write 15 divided by 3 times 5 minus. And now I just simplified the one step that I've done. 4 squared means 4 times 4, so that means 16. Again, this means 4 times 4. That's how I got my 16. Now from here, again, I'm not worried about this negative sign. I'm just squaring that 4 and I'm recopying with the same signs. Everything else stays the same. Notice how everything stayed the same except this 4 squared became 16. Now I have checked multiplication, division. Well, I have division, multiplication, subtraction, addition. So I need to go left to right. I'm going to do 15 divided by 3, or 5 times 5 minus 16 plus 8. So I just do one step at a time because I don't want to make a silly mistake when I don't have to. Now I do 5 times 5 and get 25. Now a lot of people on this problem may get 24 because they will just add this and subtract, but I can't. I have a subtraction and addition, which remember, these two are the same. We just go left to right. So now I have to do this first, and I get 9 plus 8, or 17. This is a problem a lot of us look at and think we know right away, but we actually don't, because we don't do this left to right. A lot of people add that and subtract. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do number 3, and then I'm going to ask you guys to try number 4 on your own after I do this, and then check back with my answer. So number 3, we've got 16 plus 4 minus 2, parentheses, 8 minus 3. Now, I will get to, we are going to talk about the distributive property later in this course, but for now, when we're doing PEMDAS, I don't want you guys distributing. I know a lot of people see this and they start drawing their arrows. When we are evaluating to get an answer, we actually just do inside the parentheses. We're going to simplify when we're able to. And the way you know that is if there's no variables. Later when we talk about using the distributive property, that's going to be when we have variables. Because if we don't have variables, we can simplify inside there. So I don't want anyone using the distributive property. It's going to get you a little confused. We're going to go on to that next week, and you'll be using that then. So I go in order of my PEMDAS, and I go parentheses first. So I'm going to write everything else the same, and you may be a little bothered, but this has not been much work. We're just rewriting the whole line, and I just do my 8 minus 3, or 5 inside here. Now I have an addition, a subtraction, and a multiplication. So I'm going to write all of this the same and just do my 2 times 5. You may say, well, wait, negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. Yeah, it's the same. But we're going to just do that multiplication and keep the sign. So if you're asking, is it a negative 2 times 5 or is it 2 times 5? Well, really it's the same. It's either negative 2 times 5 or negative 10 or 2 times 5 that you're subtracting, which keeps you the same answer. And now we have an addition, or 20, minus 10, or 10. I had to go left to right, so I did do the addition first this time and subtract. So now I want you guys to do number 4. You're going to pause your, you can pause the video, and you can do number 4 out on your own. Check your answer. All right, you guys can check your answer now. If you notice again, our order is parentheses. I do inside the parentheses. Now I have exponents. I do my exponent. Write that 2 cubed means 2 times 2 times 2. That's something that if you got this wrong, you may not have done. Again, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. That's how I got that. Then you have to go, you have a multiplication, a division, addition. So I go left to right and do 48 divided by 8 to get 6. times 3 is 18, plus 3 is 21. We're almost done, just a couple more. So I'm going to say that if you guys want, you guys can try number 5. So pause your video now and try number 5. All right, so you guys should have done your workout for number 5. That was, we had 2 times 5 plus 3 times 9 minus 4 plus 2 cubed. So we go inside the parentheses, and then inside the parentheses we have to follow the order of operations. So you have this exponent here, which 2 cubed, remember, means 2 times 2 times 2. Anything to the third power means multiply that number by itself 3 times. If you got 6 here, you just multiplied them, and that was your mistake. Now from here, you have to go left to right. It's not 4 plus 8 first, it's 9 minus 4 first. So I wrote out 5 plus 8. Now that I do that, I simplify to get 13. I multiply 3 times 13, or I now have 2 times 5 plus 3 times 13. I do my multiplication from left to right, so I do my 10 plus 39, and I get 49. So check back your work to see if you made a mistake anywhere, and check your answer. Now, I am going to do number 6, so if you need to see this, just pause right now, because I'm going to erase this and move on. I am going to do the last 2 with you guys, number 6 and number 7. So for number 6, I have 4 times, and this bracket means that there's going to be an inside parentheses. So anytime we write parentheses around parentheses, we do a bracket so that we talk about the innermost parentheses. So inside there, we have to do the innermost parentheses, which is 12 minus 3. I'm going to write everything else the same. And that's just 9 squared now in my bracket. So I have to do inside this parentheses the exponent first. My 9 squared becomes 9 times 9, which will give me 81. So 4 times 24 divided by 81. And now inside here, I have to do 24 times, or divided by 81. And that will give me 4 times. I'm actually going to write it as a fraction. And you guys should be checking your calculator to do this. I'm going to see if I can simplify this, which I actually know I can. And 24 divided by 81, if I divide it by 3, will give me 8 over, I believe, 27. And then I don't think this will go any more. So I technically have that times 4, which I know I wrote it second. You can always switch the order of multiplication. And in this case, you'll get 32 over 27. And I can leave my answer like that. I don't have to simplify it. Again, just going back, I do my innermost parentheses first. I square it. I do 24 divided by that squared 81. I write it as a fraction, multiplied by 4. You could have multiplied it out, numerator times numerator, because, again, that becomes a fraction, and I go straight across. And then I could have got a number and simplified, but I like to simplify the fraction first, so that when I multiply this by 4, you may have said, what did you do? Check the fraction multiplication video. But if I multiply straight across, that gives me 32. And again, I make 4 a fraction by putting it over 1. That was one step that I kind of I skipped over. All right, and so what I want you guys to do, actually, and I see that 7's a little bit easier. 8 is just like it. So I'm going to actually skip 7 and 8. We're going to add that in on your guys' homework. And I'm going to have you, I'm just going to go over, you guys can pause your video. I'm going to do the work for 9 and 10, and then you can just look at it. All right. Hopefully you guys can see this bottom part here. I do apologize a little bit, got low on that. But if you just, I'm going to go through these 2 problems, and after this, what I want you to do, your homework is going to be finish those last 2 problems. We'll go over those. It was 8, numbers 8 and 7 and 8, and then now the next slide, your homework is going to be to complete the rest of these examples in the PDF. So if you look here, we have a fraction. One thing to remember, the main teaching idea with this is that we are always going to simplify the top, then simplify the bottom, then divide. So if you want to write that on a piece of paper somewhere, you're going to go top, bottom, and then divide. We're going to divide last. So we're going to simplify our numerator as much as we can, then our denominator, and then divide down. That will help us kind of go left to right across the top, left to right across the bottom, using PEMDAS, and then divide down. So the first thing on my top is I have to do 2 to the 5th, or 32. Then I'm going to do 6 times 12, and that's how I went this way, 32 minus 12. I then simplify my denominator by doing 27. I have to do the multiplication first, the 5 times 3, and I got 15. So 27 minus 15 minus 2 is what I have. The The 27 minus 15 I do first, I get 12 minus 2 or 10. My numerator from the top from previous was 20, so 20 divided by 10 is 2. Again, we're going to do more practice on this. This is pretty much the hardest type you can see. So if you're not doing well on 9 and 10, going back to your work, that's okay. We will clarify. If you're looking at number 8 here now, we have to do inside the bracket the innermost parentheses right here. So inside that I have a multiplication and a subtraction. So I do 8 times 5 and get 40. 40 minus 34 is 6. I do my 8 plus 12. I have to then go to this left fraction, after I did that, and I do 8 plus 12 over 2 is 20 over 2. So I do this numerator first. I divide it and get 10. So I have 10 minus 6 really, or 4, or 8 minus 4 is 4. So my final answer on 10 is 40. So again, what I want you guys to do is this next slide, I want you to do those problems, as well as the 2 we skipped, the 7 and 8. And we'll go over those 6 when we come back tomorrow, and we'll do some practice and answer questions to help you guys, all right?